Lila had always been a bookworm. Her love for reading had started when she was very young, and there was no place more magical to her than the Whispering Pages library. It was a mysterious, old building, tucked away in a quiet corner of town, far from the noise of the city. The towering shelves inside stretched up as far as the eye could see, filled with books that smelled of adventure and wonder. It was a place where stories didn't just live on pages, they seemed to pulse with life itself. Lila had explored every aisle and discovered all of the library's hidden corners. But there was one book she had always been warned about, the Book of Boundless Adventures. It sat on a shelf high in the farthest corner, gathering dust as if waiting for the right person to unlock its secret. The cover was an intricate mix of gold and red, and the title shimmered faintly as if it had its own heartbeat. Though Lila had always been curious, she had never dared to open it. One stormy afternoon, when the wind howled outside and the library was almost empty, Lila found herself standing before the Book of Boundless Adventures. Her fingers brushed the cover, and before she could even think, she opened it. As soon as the pages fluttered, a burst of golden light erupted from within, swirling around her. She staggered back, but it was too late. The characters had leapt off the pages and into the real world. The first to emerge was Captain Asher, a tall and intimidating pirate with a weathered coat, a thick, graying beard, and a gleaming cutlass. His boots thudded against the floor as he scanned the room. "Where's the treasure, lass?" he barked, his voice booming through the library. He stormed past the shelves, knocking over a stack of books. His presence was enough to send a chill down Lila's spine, and she felt her heart race. Before she could even respond, the second character arrived, Azura, a massive wyvern with iridescent scales and wings that could make the room shake with a flap. It screeched loudly, filling the space with a deafening roar. The wyvern's fiery breath ignited nearby books, sending Lila into a panic. She grabbed a nearby bucket and tried to douse the flames before it spread as if the chaos wasn't enough. Queen Selene, a radiant fairy queen, appeared out of nowhere, hovering in the air with a soft, glowing light surrounding her. "Where is my kingdom?" she demanded in a voice that echoed through the library, her tiny wings fluttering rapidly as sparkling dust rained down around her. Lila scrambled to get out of her way, her mind racing as she tried to make sense of what was happening. Next, Phelan, a mischievous elf with pointed ears, darted past her and snatched her backpack. "What's this?" "I'll be borrowing this for a bit," he laughed. Lila could barely hold onto it as he scampered away, slipping in and out of sight, his light footsteps like a phantom, but the worst was yet to come. Morgana, a tall sorceress with dark robes and a cackling laugh, appeared last. She raised her hands, muttering an incantation, and the bookshelves began to shift. Books flew off the shelves and circled around her, as if under her control. "You'll all be mine now," Morgana said, her smile cruel as she summoned more magic. The library, once a peaceful place of learning, had turned into a battlefield of fantastical creatures. Lila, overwhelmed and terrified, realized that the Book of Boundless Adventures was still open on the floor, its pages now glowing bright gold. It was her fault all this had happened, and she needed to fix it, quickly. After a deep breath, Lila grabbed the book, flipping through the pages desperately. Her fingers skimmed the ancient text, and she found a golden note hidden between the words. The note read, "To return the characters to their stories, the reader must restore the balance of the tales. Only by understanding each character's purpose can the stories be set right." As soon as she read the note, it vanished, leaving behind a hint of shimmering dust. She had no idea what it meant, but she knew she had no time to waste. The library was in chaos. Lila decided to tackle Captain Asher first. She approached him carefully, avoiding the books he had already torn apart in his search for treasure. "You're supposed to be looking for treasure, right?" Lila asked, trying to sound calm. Captain Asher looked at her, squinting. Treasure. But I need a map. I cannot find it without one." Lila quickly guided him to a shelf filled with adventure stories and opened a book about hidden treasures. As soon as he laid his eyes on the map inside, he let out a satisfied growl. "Aha! This be what I was looking for," he shouted. The pirate opened the map fully, and with a final shout, he was sucked back into the book, disappearing in a swirl of mist. Next, Lila faced the wyvern, still causing mayhem. "You're meant to be guarding a castle, not burning the books," she scolded. The wyvern growled, its fiery breath still flickering. "Find me my castle, and I'll leave your library alone." Lila didn't hesitate. She quickly found a book about magical castles and led the wyvern to it. When the creature saw the magnificent castle in the pages, it let out a triumphant roar and was pulled back into the book. Queen Selene proved to be a challenge, but after some gentle negotiation, Lila convinced her that she belonged in an enchanted forest, not a dusty library. With a flick of her wings, Selene vanished into the pages of a book about magical lands, leaving only a trace of sparkling dust behind. The elf Phelan had been causing a lot of trouble, but when Lila confronted him, she appealed to his love of mischief. "Your story is about a mischievous elf who brings joy to the forest," she told him. Not stealing from innocent readers, Phelan considered this, then grinned sheepishly. "I suppose so." With a wink, he was sucked back into his story, leaving behind Lila's backpack in the process. Finally, Lila turned to Morgana, who had nearly finished enchanting all the books in the library. "You're supposed to be a sorceress who uses magic for good, not for chaos," Lila said, holding up a book about a wise sorceress who helped others. Morgana's eyes narrowed, and for a long moment, she seemed to hesitate. Slowly, she began to smile, realizing that perhaps there was more to her story than she had first thought. She waved her hands, and the library's magic calmed. With a final, soft laugh, she was absorbed back into the book. With all the characters returned to their stories, the library returned to normal. Lila closed the book of boundless adventures, feeling both exhausted and triumphant. She had saved the library and restored the balance. As she left that evening, Lila looked back at the doors of the library and smiled, knowing that magic would always be a part of the stories she loved. The end.
Subscribe to my channel.
짠!